is an ocarina. It's a vessel flute. You blow into it here, and these are relatively easy to learn, but like most easy instruments to learn, they are hard to master. But you can get the basics down in an hour, which is what we'll be doing today. I've split this video up into 3 parts. For time purposes, we'll be going in a bit fast, but you can always slow down to playback speed or pause the video if you are struggling. In this first part, we'll be talking about how to hold this ocarina, how to blow air into it, how to articulate the notes, and how to change the notes. Now, step 1, all you have to learn how to do is hold the ocarina. You hold it like this. These holes here will be covered by your right hand, all 4 fingers, as well as this hole here. This is assuming you have a 12-hole alto C, which I would highly recommend you have if you're trying to learn the ocarina. Your left hand covers this thumb hole and these holes here. You want to make sure they're all fully sealed and that you're not covering these 2 itty-bitty holes, which are called the sub-holes. We won't be using them right now. This is how you hold the ocarina. Depending on how you're shaped, you can have your arms out like this, but I let mine rest at my sides. So, if you're blowing into the ocarina, you have to have a nice tight airstream, like this. It's the same airstream you use when you're blowing out a candle. You can hold your hand like this and practice blowing a tight airstream. You want a constant flow of air. And it may almost sound like a whistle. I cannot whistle, so I do not hear that. So now, take your ocarina, all holes covered except for the 2 sub-holes, and blow. Your ocarina will sound somewhat like that. Now that you know how to blow into the ocarina, you'll want to learn how to articulate the notes. In order to articulate the notes, it's very simple. Just make the sound 2 as you're blowing into your ocarina. So, 2, 2, 2. It'll sound something like this. You can also make the sound tut, tut, tut. You can change up the articulation depending on what sound you want to have. Tut gives more of an emphasis, while 2 is more of the natural articulation that you use in most songs. So now that you know how to blow into your ocarina, you know how to articulate the notes, and you know how to hold the ocarina, you'll probably want to know how to change notes. After all, most songs have more than just one note. In order to change the notes on an ocarina, it is very, very simple and straightforward. You'll be lifting your fingers up in a linear fashion. 1, 2, 3, and that's all 4 fingers uncovered. On a 12-hole alto C ocarina, all holes covered except for the sub-holes will give you the note C. Now D, E, F, and G. I will play along and show you what that sounds like. And there you have it. Very simple and very straightforward. Alright, now you know how to play notes different. Now you know how to change notes, you know how to hold the ocarina, you know how to articulate the notes, and you know what kind of stream of air you'd want. So now, what else? Well, you're gonna be playing quite far past the note G, which means that you'll have to know how to stabilize the ocarina. How do you do that? Very simple. So we're going from C, D, E, F, G. If you know anything about music, you know that what comes after G is A. But oh no, the ocarina is becoming kind of unstable. What can we do about this? Very simple. You'll take your middle finger, place it here, and hook it around the ocarina's tail. This part right here is known as its tail. And once you do that, your ocarina is much more stable. So now, I can play D. Now I can play C, D, E, F, G, hook around the tail, A, B, C. And you want to know something else? That's actually the C major scale, which we'll be getting into. So the C major scale, an ocarina tuned to the key of Alto C will be able to play the entire C major scale, which goes C, D, E, F, G, hook around the tail, A, B, C. It is the easiest thing you will learn on a 12-hole Alto C ocarina, and it should probably be one of the first things you learn. Once you know your skills, learning songs becomes so much easier because now you know how to make these notes. So let's say you're playing a song and the first note is a G. Well, you know that G is all of these holes uncovered. Depending on how unstable the ocarina feels, you can hook your middle finger around the tail now, or you can wait until you go up to the A. It depends on your preference. Try to keep your fingers as close to the ocarina as possible while you're lifting your fingers up without having them too far over the holes. If your hands are too far over the holes, then you may change the pitch. And be careful when you're hooking around the tail. You could end up covering this little hole here. So get in the habit of just knowing where to put your fingers on the ocarina. Next, we'll be going over how to read ocarina tabs. When you're starting out, tabs are going to be the easiest way to learn music. You probably found out about ocarinas through The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, so there are a plethora of tabs available for that song, and some other nursery rhymes too. Almost everybody knows Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, so that'll be the nursery rhyme that we are using today in ocarina tabs. So how do you play it? Twinkle Twinkle Little Star is a very easy song to learn. You're going to be starting out C. You play that twice. Then you jump up to G. But don't think we're going back down yet. We're going up to an A. Then back down to a G. Then the next part will be very easy. So, to recap, C, C, G, G, A, G, F, F, E, E, D, D, C. And it'll sound something like this. Now we're going back up to the G. You'll repeat this part 2 times. Up to a G, then down to an F, E, then D. Then we'll start the song just as we did before. Starting at C, up to a G, up to an A, back to a G, then going down in a linear fashion. I like to play the ending F, E, D, C slowly. It's a stylistic choice. Once you become better at the ocarina, you start to learn these a little bit more and perform them in certain songs. Congratulations! You've learned how to hold an ocarina, how to blow air into it, how to articulate the notes, how to change notes, you've also learned how to stabilize on the high notes. You've learned a C major scale. learn how to play Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. So, what else? Well, now that you know the bare basics, there are a few places you can go from here. If you don't have an ocarina yet, I would highly recommend you check out Amazon to buy the Night by Noble. It is a plastic 12-hole Alto C ocarina, around $30 to $35 depending on the day. It is one of the best starter ocarinas you can buy. It's made of plastic, so it's virtually indestructible, so if you have siblings, you don't have to worry about them smashing your precious pottery. Of course, there's an ocarina like the one I have. This one was the only one made, so you can't get the exact one. But I will leave a link to the Etsy store that creates these, known as Dean Ocarinas, and I would highly recommend you check out Songbird Ocarina if you're looking for ocarinas from there. They have some really nice Legend of Zelda replicas, and they also have some very high quality Alto C ceramic ocarinas, but they will come for a higher price tag because they are not made out of plastic. Now then, while you're on Amazon, I would highly recommend you stay away from these cheap $30 ceramic ocarinas. They are low quality, improperly tuned, and they sound horrible. You will have a very hard time getting good notes out of them. And it is quite frustrating as a beginner when it's the instrument, not you. Or if you buy one from these brands. You should highly avoid ocarina when their quality control is very spotty, and their ocarinas more often than not are really hit or miss, and it's not worth your money. If you already have an ocarina and it's a good quality one, then I would recommend if you already have an ocarina and it's a high quality one, you may be wondering where to go after this. Well, if you want, you can keep with ocarina tabs, learn a few songs that you know, and have a fun time. Some people will never progress farther than learning a couple of songs from the Legend of Zelda series, which is fine. Everybody has their own path, and everybody does what they want on their instrument. However, if you'd like to improve, I highly recommend getting started in music theory. Music theory will help you out immensely because the ocarina is not an instrument where there are a plethora of tabs available. You might find a lot, but after a while, it'll become very challenging to find songs if you're relying on tabs. That is a crutch that you need to not rely on. And in the beginning, sometimes I might even recommend just skipping tabs altogether and going straight to learning sheet music. But it depends on what you want to do and how you want to carve out your own path. Now, once you know some music theory and you're getting comfortable playing notes on your ocarina, I would recommend going up to a piano, going up to a tuned guitar or a tuner, and playing the notes to see if you're playing in tune. The ocarina by nature is an instrument where your breath pressure determines how in tune the notes are. So you have to get in the habit of using the correct breath pressure for the notes to get that note in tune. You also want to learn the chromatic fingerings. Chromatic means all the accidentals, the sharp. Another helpful tip is to learn how to pick apart songs by ear. Simply, just listening to a song that you know and playing as close to the notes as you think the song goes. This will be very helpful for learning ear training, and it'll prove very useful in the future when you're learning more instruments. Not everybody knows how to play an ear, so you have one leg up, or one ear up, from other musicians. I hope these tips were very helpful, and I hope you have a great ocarina journey. This is my favorite instrument, and I hope you'll have fun on it too.